A recurring flashpoint in education policy through the years has been the role of parents in determining the curriculum for their children. And that's especially true when there are value-laden topics. Now, recently, Councilmember Kristen Mink attracted some national coverage when she told some Muslim children that they were, quote, on the side of white supremacists. And she was reacting to Muslim families that were complaining about MCPS's policies. And this had to do with some of the curriculum issues for gay and lesbian books. Now, let me just kind of raise the question. Maricé, was she being too harsh in that?
Rather than opining on how harsh her comments may or may not have been, I'd rather speak on the actual constitutionality as to why, when you're dealing with religious or sexual orientation curriculum, that, why is it that parents do or do not have the rights? And I think that it's a very interesting debate, in that as we're creating a more inclusive curriculum, that somehow is also going into the diversity in the faiths that we see, especially in Montgomery County. And so we already know of at least 6 other states, in addition to Maryland, that have brought in the LGBTQ curriculum, and mostly from the social science perspective and in the history, or also the contributions of LGBTQ leaders. So I think right now the big question is about when is it appropriate, at what age, and the grades. And I think that as the nation grapples with this issue and we become more savvy around this, that I think that we will evolve into a place where individuals will feel, I guess, heard, because there is a debate here. Because if somebody's faith is telling you something, and that is in complete contradiction with what's going on in the schools, I mean, there is some kind of, and I think this is going to be something that I see it coming up into the Supreme Court and just federal courts in general.
So, Jim, let me turn to you. Do you think that MCPS adequately respects the diversity of sort of philosophical perspectives that families have?
Overall, I do. It's a difficult topic. And by the way, let me throw in that the Muslim faith is a beautiful faith. And my friends and the people that I know, they care as much about educating their children as any group. They're wonderful people, and education is a priority to them. Parents have a seat at the table. That's a must. And certainly if there's something that they don't want their children to be taught, there should be some orchestrated opt-out for a parent not to allow their child to be exposed to certain topics, not to math and science, but in a reasonable opt-out option, that their child would be protected from some of these topics that are offensive to many, both religious-wise and morally. So I think that's important. Parents know what's best for their child, and they need a seat at the table to participate in curriculum and other issues in school. But certainly, I defer to the educators and the professionals. But parents should have opt-out options. And we have to lower the heat and the rhetoric in this, because every parent loves their child and every educator is dedicated to helping their children. So we're all on the same page. But the rhetoric is political and it's at times disgusting. So we have to defer to the educators with the participation of parents and work together.
So, Maricé, one of the challenges in all of this, of course, is the parents getting access to the curriculum in the broad context. Sometimes there's a tendency for sort of isolated things to be taken out of context and blown up. And as Jim describes, that can kind of lead to sort of miscommunications. So how do we manage that process in which parents kind of learn about the curriculum and then make the kind of decisions that we're describing?
Well, that's $1 million question. I guess parent participation is also a privilege, given just the different time constraints, who is informed enough to know about, when are these forums happening, and are, the participation on the PTAs, et cetera. I think that the blueprint does provide for at least some language, accessibility, et cetera. But I think that that's, I think that's a huge endeavor, and any leadership that we see coming from the different stakeholders groups would really help improve the parent participation piece. Because I mean, at the end of the day is, how do parents, I mean, if they're working 3 jobs, how do they even know that these discussions are happening? And, how do they know when to come in and testify, if it's at the local level, if they're having to go to Annapolis? I think that's a big question with any big piece of legislation, and just making sure that we're hearing from all the different parties that will be impacted.